Okay.
They're your home team.
I took the Yankees hat off today, so I didn't look like too much of a homer when I praised them again.
Well, I mean, now that we're live, I can show everybody my World Series. Oh, look, gray shirt, gray beard, gray hat.
Very
World
nice.
Series Nationals champions.
I wrote you
I
these.
don't have very many. I mean, I've got all my hats, but I don't have that many sports, like shirts and stuff like that. But my wife, because what do you get me for my birthday? Because I have everything I need. So she's like, shit, I never know what to get. So she got me a couple Nats dry fit shirts,
Nice.
t-shirt type things. So I wear them when I'm out walking. Yeah,
Very cool. Nice. And my entire wardrobe is T-shirts, and it's like 80% band shirts and sports shirts. So I've got no use for a name. Old school, not old school, but like 90s punk rock band going today.
Chad, are we out? Can you hear us? I get people saying, "Let's go." Well, we'll let me know I'm live, and then we'll be good.
Maybe they just mean let's go with the baseball.
Oh, with the baseball. Well, we definitely want to do that. So let's we'll put our little friends here at SuperDraft away, and we'll say hello, Yahoo. There we go. There we are. So we're good. We've got 7 games, plenty of times to go through all of this here, and I'm waiting till someone in chat tells me you're watching, because then until then, I'm not gonna do this. So there we go.
Games.
Tiger Chief wins. He says he hears. Okay, so
right.
It's official now. Again, with all the technical issues and my sound worked, but somehow the audio. Go ahead and talk. Let's make sure we can hear you.
Everybody can hear me.
There we go. Somehow it got reset. So poor Greg did his first podcast, and it was only me talking. That was the only thing that recorded. So now I'm sitting here making sure is the bars moving, because and then Adam and I were the pair that tried to figure out what was wrong with it. We're the two you don't want to try to figure out that stuff. So I keep asking him, Adam, say something, and he's like, "How's it going, EMac? Can you talk a little bit more? Because I'm trying to touch these buttons. How's it going, EMac?" I'm just like, oh, he does it on purpose too. So.
Oh, for sure. I always love when somebody does a nice long wind up for him, and it's just, yep, he's the best at that.
Fly ball caught. All right, so here we are. We've got a 7-gamer here. We are going to go with Boston and the Yankees first. We have Nate Eovaldi on the bump. He is 6,500 here on DK. James Paxton on the other side. And we don't have a lot of Well, we have 14 pitchers to look at, but there's not a lot of ones that make me feel warm and fuzzy tonight. So this is going to be a fun tournament night. I'm probably going to do my run about 30% of all the popular guys and just see what happens. I haven't updated that yet. But Eovaldi, always terrifying. I did set him at 10% just to see what would happen, because we've seen the we've seen the Yankees from time to time allow or boost strikeouts for the other pitchers. And if he implodes, or let me rephrase that, if he doesn't implode, that could be a good thing, because there's plenty of other pitchers who can implode. So you're the Yankees fan, you're the resident expert. Are we attacking said Nathan Eovaldi?
I think we can weaponize the Yanks a little bit on FanDuel with their pricing. It looks pretty good on DraftKings as well, as I'm taking a peek here. You know, they're not too overpriced. Eovaldi is a guy I typically do like to go after. He's got a reputation as a strikeout guy, and he's kind of earned it the last 2 years. He was 22%, 23% the last 2 seasons in somewhat limited action. But for his career, he's only 18.3% strikeouts, 7.5% walk rate guy. So he's all right, but he's very reliant on his fastball. He's got a 97-mile-an-hour fastball that he throws 43% of the time, and then he throws a cutter splitter mix 28% of the time. Right now, he's sitting, for the short sample size, sitting 22nd percentile in exit velocity allowed, 23rd in hard hit, 25th in barrels allowed. So he's giving up a lot of quality contact. He's gotten away with it a little bit. He's pitching to a 409 FIP so far, 26% strikeout this year. So the strikeouts are up. But with Judge out of the lineup, with Stanton out of the lineup, it's interesting. It diminishes the Yankee lineup overall, but it takes some of those big strikeout bats out of there. There's still a lot of Ks in this lineup, but those are 2 free-swinging kind of guys. So it limits Eovaldi's upside. I think there's quality in the Yankees. We can get to, Gleyber Torres, still dramatically underpriced on FanDuel, and it's an excellent bat. I can't stop talking about it.
2,800 still, or has he come up from there?
He went down. He's 2,700, which is just absurd.
Wow.
So great bat, great price in the middle of this lineup. He's pulling only, in my last update, 5.5% ownership on FanDuel, 2.5% on DraftKings. I mean, that's a kid who can get to anybody. They got some of the Mike Talkman going as a lefty bat again tonight. They've got Mike Ford hitting third tonight. So a couple lefties in there that could be sneaky for the Yanks. Going to be reasonably owned on Ford, but Talkman, you get away with no ownership really. Lefties can get to Eovaldi. He's not great at keeping the ball in the yard. So I think we can attack him a little bit, primarily based on the discount we're getting on the Yanks today. It's not a big homer pick for me today. It's not like, hey, I think they're going to crush him, but I think we can get away with them here. I do get good home run projections. Gary Sanchez, I mentioned him yesterday, and he rewarded me by smoking one and hitting a home run. So I like him again. Solid home run rating here. Glaber, Ford, and Voit all well over 10 on my home run rating here. So yeah, I like the Yanks.
All right, I'm looking. I see some people asking about some weather and stuff. So I'm gonna do a little look see here, and find out what we have. Baltimore, in DC is kind of interesting. So there's a fun little site here. Like, of all baseball sites, Arizona is the only one that has a legitimate, easy to find, open closed roof situation, and they do it for their entire homestand. But here's the little caveat trick for tonight. Saturday, August 15th against the Padres, the roof status will be open at the end of the third inning.
Ooh.
So they're going to play a couple innings and then they're going to open it. So that's something I don't know that we've seen before. I don't want to say that we haven't, because
that's what they did to McCullers that day, and then he got blown up in the fourth for that 7-run fourth inning.
Right. So the question, it's just kind of interesting. So I just wanted to point that one out there. I'll look and see what I can find for Baltimore. So I'm about equidistant from Baltimore and DC. I'm not in between them, but it takes about the same amount of time. So I'm in the area, and it's kind of been it's been humid here today, and just, my wife calls it spitting, a little bit of rain every now and then, like just a few drops, but the skies are kind of hazy and gray, but there aren't really clouds. So it's just one of those really humid days. So if it does rain, and there's supposed to be showers through the night, they don't know when it's going to start. So when the air cools, they said it's going to rain then. So I'll look and see if we have some radar updates on that. But that's the only spot I can see for there. But yeah, the little roof note.
Yeah, that was the only one that seemed concerning when I was glancing at it earlier. It's something I rely entirely on our news guy, who does an amazing job in chat keeping us posted on that stuff. So
right, and I'm going to drop that.
You're not following the live blog out there, you're missing out.
Oh yeah, you guys, we should talk about that more. The live blog, right there. What's the right word? Curating all of the news as it comes out, and he does a phenomenal job with that. I'm spoiled by him. I've decided it just makes life that much easier there. Yeah, so. And I just dropped that link in chat. This one to get to the Diamondbacks roof. It's actually on MLB.com, but none of the other stadiums have it. You're like, Miami goes to some defunct Twitter page that doesn't tweet, and that's from the MLB page. It links over to that. It's just like, this is a disaster.
You think they could? I mean, they are in close contact with all these teams. Well, maybe they're not, based on the way they run things. Maybe that's what the problem is.
I don't know. All right. So
what do you think of Paxton here?
That's the big question.
Slack a little bit. Yeah.
8,100 makes him in play against Boston. Mookie Betts in his sixth 3-home run game. It's not in Boston anymore. It's with the Dodgers now.
Thankfully.
So yeah, I'm looking at the lineup now. Now Paxton's always an adventure, and he's really tall. I think he's like 6'7" or so. I'm a huge fan of his as a Mariner, but he has, and I never have the right words to describe it, but he has kind of a unique-ish type throw. It just looks wrong when he throws, so it should be no surprise that he's constantly hurt. But when you hurt or you do something and then you adjust, so like your elbow can somehow end up making your knee or your back hurt because of you change something. It's just this whole mess. So we never know what's going on with him, and now he's on the he's on the other side of 30 now. So I don't know what to do. 4.3 implied run total, though. I would have thought this would be 5 at least, But if you look, Michael Chavis, Jackie Bradley Jr., lefty, Verdugo, lefty. I think we have to consider him.
Yeah, I like Paxton here. I like the spot for him. He's projecting reasonably well for me. He's not in my top end of starters, but I kind of think that's okay here. I think it'll keep some of the optimizers off of him, and I think he could be a little sneaky. He was encouraging the last time out. He had 11 strikeouts and had not yielded any runs through 6. And then in a totally bizarre move that is completely opposite how he usually manages his pitchers, Boone ran him back out there for the 7th. And the Rays, I think it was the Rays, put 3 on him, including 2 home runs, which, it made the game look uglier in the box scores than it really was. He was back up to almost 94 miles an hour last time out. They said one of the places I was looking had a blurb about some adjustments he made with his shoulder positioning when he goes into that funky delivery. And you're right, everything is about getting him to hit that same, I don't know if people can see what I'm doing with my arm here, but hit that same release point with all of his pitches. And it's a high angled release point. And he's constantly making tweaks because he ends up landing weird and doing something to his knee, tweaking his back, like you said. So they're constantly adjusting to get him back to that release point. It seemed like he had kind of found it the last time out. Now it's a matter of repeating it and staying healthy. When he does, he's excellent. He does allow a lot of hard contacts. Excuse me. His fastball, curveball, and cutter are all over a 20% whiff rate, which is decent, for across all the pitches. 71% whiff rate on his 17 changeups that he's thrown to right-handed hitters here. So he knows how to get righties out too. It's a good out pitch for him against righties. He's in the 7th percentile for the 7 in exit velocity allowed so far, 11th in barrels, 4th in hard hits. So those are terrible numbers. But it's a very short sample size. It includes a couple bumpy starts while he was figuring things out that we've talked about here. So I think we can use him. I think there are enough strikeouts in the Red Sox lineup that we can, that you mentioned a couple of the guys I was going to talk about with Jackie Bradley in the back end, Chavis on the back end, guys that he can get to. I also wrote up the Red Sox side of this because they're a high-end value play today, just with where those salaries are on both sites. So I think you can use both sides of this. I think you can roll out some Red Sox, combine them with some other teams to get some sneaky low-owned savings to get to some high-end bats, high-end pitchers. But I think I want more of the Paxton side of this, at least on FanDuel.
All right, that makes sense. And I'm watching the weather.com weather in motion, so not looking at this any differently than most of you would. It looks like there's going to probably be some rain, but it looks relatively light. I've checked a couple of our favorite Twitter accounts that do this. And they say delay not likely, postponement not likely, delay possible, depending on what you're reading, maybe a 1 in 3, 1 in 5 chance, but they don't really know when. And the question is, if Corbin can get in enough pitches, then it's not going to be as big of a deal. So I got caught destroyed last night. Had no idea there wasn't going to be an issue with that Minnesota Kansas City game. Literally no idea until all of a sudden I read all of my Yahoo pages. I was entering lineups. I'm like, what happened here? And oops. So that was kind of a mess. Shout out to Yahoo, sponsor of the MLB Live Before Lock. So I'm not going to worry about the Washington weather. I've decided life is too short. So there we are.
You heard it here first, folks.
I rolled the dice. Yeah, I went heavy on that Philly game, I guess 2 days ago. And then it played, and then they scored, 3 runs or whatever it was, 2 runs.
I was let down. I thought that was going to be a sneaky, really strong spot. I really liked them going in. Yeah, I was let down by that one, too.
Yeah, that was.
If you analyze this much weather, we're going to need to change your name to a weatherman, like Chase Cloudman, something like that. Like something really hard weather,
There we go. All right, well, here's the next one we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Oakland at San Francisco. Now, this is the next game. It's a 4 o'clock game there today, out there on the West Coast. So this is what I wrote up in Spotlight Hitters and Stacks. I'm going to read it to you guys again. So I wrote this up yesterday. So I said, small sample size alert, but there were 15 runs in last night's game. Here's what I wrote yesterday, and it's worth noting that, again, this is a 7-game data set. I said the Giants have only played 6 games at home this season. Tomorrow it is going to be almost 80 degrees at first pitch. It's cooler today. Tomorrow it's going to be almost 80 degrees at first pitch, was about 15 degrees warmer than what we saw in their last homestand. Why does all of this matter? Well, those 6 games have had an average run total of 12.7, which is eye-popping to say the least. This offseason, the bullpens in Oracle Park were moved away from foul territory and into center field. And that also facilitated a change in some terrace seating. So like how the City Field has it, they've got the where you go stand and drink beer and and whatever, and you're out in the outfield.
Out there and everything.
Yeah, or some of them had the whatever porch or whatever. So it's kind of fun. So they said this effectively brings in the fences 6 to 9 feet, depending if you're looking at center field or right field, left field. And it shortened triples alley. So left field stayed the same. Left center is down 5. Center field is down 8 feet. Right field, which is triples alley, is down 6 feet, and then the right field corner stayed the same. So I'm just saying it was a 6-game sample, now 7-game sample size. Terry and I were talking a little bit before show. I do not think that this is a hitter's park, but it may not be the same quality of run suppressing pitcher's park that we're used to, where it's usually 18 to 20% better than average for the major leagues. Maybe that's only 90% of it now. So that's a change. Doesn't mean it's still probably not going to be the best or right up there with the top 3 each season, depending on weather patterns and stuff. And who knows? It's a 7-game sample size. But I wanted to call it out because you and I both had the same home run guy last night, Matt Olson, who was in this game.
That's true, and he got there for us.
He did get there
late, right? Wasn't it a late solo shot? I believe so. Yeah, he got there and kept us rolling there. So yeah, I like the A's here. I think they're going a little bit under-owned on FanDuel for taking on a Kevin Gausman, who is not a pitcher I have a ton of respect for. He's been pitching all right so far this year. In 20 innings this year, he's at 28% strikeouts, which is high for him, and only a 3.25 xFIP. He's a 3.97 career xFIP, which is it's respectable. He's a league average kind of a pitcher, 21% strikeouts, gets decent whiff rate on some of his stuff, which is interesting. I think in a different spot against a different team, I would like him a little bit better. I wouldn't mind going to him a little bit at only 7,300 there and 6,200 on DraftKings. He's got some appeal with all the righties in this A's lineup, but I think the A's get to him here. I love the power for this team. There's a ton of projected ISO from Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Mark Canha, Marcus Semien. We don't have a Chris Davis in the lineup, but we do have Robbie Grossman and Stephen Piscotty on the back end of this, who are very low on, very affordable in the outfield. So.
Very affordable on DK for some savings.
Yeah, so I like this stack. I think the Oakland stack is definitely in play again here. Again, we don't want to ride the park like it's a hitter's park now, like you said, but it might not play so much to the pitcher's advantage. And if Gausman is picking up some of that in projections from other sites that haven't adjusted any park factors, things like that, you might see him pop up in optimizers, might see him get into more lineups where people respect him, and we might be able to attack some of that with bats.
Oh, I like this. Jason Smith says he's got a piece of Goose Gausman. Man, you guys know who remembers Goose Gausman. You might, just because Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a working knowledge of Goose, let's say, rather than like an active memory.
Yeah. But, I just remember he had like puffy hair and mustache. That's all I remember. And he was,
when I was a kid. Day, I got him more as Old Timers Day in my active memory than I do in active game.
Yeah. Sure. And that's the same as me. But I remember there was a commercial that said something about this old lady would be like, "It's the goose," or something like that. I forget what it was for. And he was like hawking something. I don't know, a national campaign of some sort. But
probably something you can't even sell on TV.
It's like Tony. It was like Frosted Flakes or something like that. Probably. I vaguely think of it was like a Wheaties or something like that.
Okay, something wholesome. I was thinking like whiskey and cigarettes, kids.
Well,
back then,
Yes, very true. All right, so on the other side here, we clearly some of the sites had put out Frankie Montas. He's just being fully skipped in his start. We've got Sean Manaea here. Manaea's been tough to trust, coming back from injury himself. Although, as I'm looking, who do we want here? I mean, these guys are cheap, but I don't really feel great about Austin Slater. Donovan Solano's he's okay. Yastrzemski, 5,200 on DK. He turns 30 next week. Just wanted to throw that out there. By the way, this is his second year. He still doesn't have 500 career at bats. Yes, his grandfather won the Triple Crown, but come on, where's he been?
Use his grandpa's stats. I love him.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a huge fan. Not at 5,200 though.
No, that's crazy. I just saw that's nuts.
Yeah,
even 36 on FanDuel is pushing it. To be honest, that's a lot.
Chadwick Trump at 32 on DK, very appealing. I have a feeling on a lot of my 4-0 and 5-0 stacks, he's going to end up being the catcher. But nothing really jumps out. Longoria, Wilmer Flores, Hunter Pence, they all have been noted lefty killers. in the past. Flores is by far the youngest of those guys. Hunter's Pence could hurt himself at any given time. And Longoria was one of my favorite players with the Rays for the longest time, but he's a shell of his former glory. So it's not that scary, but I don't want to take Manaea. So this, of our crappy pitching choices, I don't feel good about Manaea. I'm not rolling after the Giants, but I can't endorse Manaea.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's kind of a stay away spot for me on both sides. I'm going to need to see more. Manaea was a guy I thought was going to be an upside play in some spots for us coming into this year, and it just hasn't been there. He's suffering a little bit from some bad luck on balls in play. He is yielding a 4.12 batting average against on balls in play, so that's high. He's getting very unlucky. His ERA is 9 right now in the season, which is ugly, and I don't think he's made it out of the 5th inning yet. But he does have a 4.12 xFIP. So, I mean, the quality is still somewhat there, but it's just not translating. I feel like he's leaving too many balls in the zone. I haven't really dug into where his pitches have been, hitting in the zone. But he's throwing more changeups. He's up from 16% usage last year to 20%. He's getting 26.9% whiff on his changeups, throwing his slider 9% of the time, down from 21%. So he's really changed up his stuff. And he's got like no spin on his fastball. The bottom first percentile in fastball spin and second percentile in curveball spin. So both of those pitches seem like they might just be kind of flat and hanging in the zone, which might explain some of the batting average on balls in play. Guys might just be hitting them where they ain't getting to them here. So I don't like it until I see more from Manaea this year. Like you said, there's not a lot to love in this Giants lineup. If you want to roll some out there, it's fine. 9% ownership on Manaea on FanDuel. You're not attacking that much of the field with it by being different. It's just a play where nobody else is, and they don't project all that well. They're super cheap, would be my argument for it. Mm-hmm. But I don't think there's much to see here on either side, really, as far as the Giants or Manaea goes.
All right. Reminder, our sponsor is Yahoo. If you guys have not yet signed up there, if you use the promo code Awesemo, when you make your first deposit, they will match you up to $30 in YSRPs. That's Yahoo Sports Rewards, or Yahoo Sports Rewards points, YSRP. Yesterday's starter, Rick Porcello. Their main slate was at 6, but they're running another slate at 7 and one at 8. So they run slates at every lock through the end of the night. So it's kind of fun to be over there. They also have some management fee free contests. You'll want to check that out. They should post those tonight for tomorrow's slates. They'll fill up relatively quickly. They've got a couple basketball ones out there right now for Monday. It's already, and they only put one of these out there, but it's 10 entry max, $3,000 is generally what they do. And they, Rinpack I see is already maxed entered this one. Oh, it's a 20 entry max for basketball. Rinpack's got 20 in there.
Hey, look out in that one. That one's already won.
Yeah.
To the other one, everybody.
We'll go to the other one, but it's a winnable contest. That's just the whole point on this. The payout structure is fine, but you could actually take this one down, and that's something I think a lot of people forget. And they've done today's is or the one for Monday is a very flat payout structure. So it's to help you build your bankroll and get you used to being on that side. Because remember, they run gigantic NFL contests, so they're taking a little step back. They're redoing after the shutdown and all of that. They're figuring out what's going on, but they're going back over there. All right, back onto our games here. Christian Javier probably going to be right there with me for my most owned pitcher, along with Patrick Corbin. I don't feel great about this, but I don't feel great about the Mariners, who are doing it with smoke and mirrors. Nick, I can't ever pronounce his last name correctly, is going for the Mariners. I am not excited for him going against Houston. He was a horrible lefty. He survived in the last outing, to the surprise of literally everyone except maybe his mom. I think his mom still believes. But
she didn't own him in DFS either.
She didn't. She's in a banned state, so she couldn't. But yeah, what do you know about Christian Javier? Because I'm putting some shekels behind this one tonight.
Yeah, and you know what? I think I'm going to be right there with you. He's projecting pretty well for me. Only 7,800 on FanDuel. I like the price. 74, if I'm reading that right, from here on DraftKings. So good price on DK in the mid-range. Like it a lot. He's very good strikeout per 9 projection over the course of the season. Got high walk rate, and that all holds with his minor league career. In the minors, he was mid-30 strikeouts through his entire career, but like low teens, like 13% walk rate. So expect him to put guys on, but he can easily sit guys down and get out of some of those ugly spots that he creates. So we're hoping for a lot of that. He's shown some good control so far in his limited sample this year. He's only 6.7% walks, which is like half of what we had seen in the minors. So knock wood that stays intact. It's 26.5% strikeout rate so far. So the strikeouts are down a little bit from what he had put up in the minors, but that's fine. I mean, that's around where we want to see this kid if it's controlling the walk rate and if he's focusing in on throwing strikes a little bit more. 77th percentile so far this year in exit velo allowed, 79th in hard hit, weirdly 13th percentile in barrels allowed. So he's allowing guys to get the meat of the bat on the ball, but they're still not hitting the ball hard or generating a lot of exit velo, which is interesting, weird little thing to see. He throws 60% of his repertoire as a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. He's generating 40% whiff on his 63 sliders that he's thrown this year. So his slider is a great out pitch. 26% he throws that pitch 26% of the time, and that comes in 78 miles an hour. So it's a nice speed differential between his fastball and his slider. Explains some of the swing and miss that he gets on it. So he's a pitcher I like. He's the high-end prospect for them, 6th overall prospect. So I think we're going to see more from this kid as time goes on. And in this matchup, yeah, I would throw you or me against this Mariners team in the right spot at the right price. So yeah, I like this kid here.
Yeah, Framber Valdez looked pretty good last night, or the results did anyway. I didn't really watch that game after the rain out. I was a little salty there.
Can't blame you. I only ran one lineup like I'm doing today because I was on the show. So yeah, I missed some of those weird spots, but I was a little in tune with a lot of this late.
Yeah, so we shall see. We shall see. On the other side here, I just, in good conscience, can't go.
No,
I can't.
No, I would not.
By the way, Nestor Cortez was horrible last night. Did he get like one out, I think?
Did he? I didn't catch it.
Let's see. He's always on the injured list. Elbow impingement. He went 41 pitches, 2 home runs, 8 runs, 7 earned. He got a fly ball out, a ground ball out, and a strikeout. So he did go.
So he got 3 outs. I knew.
Those were.
I didn't know what the.
That's weird. Oh, it says he only did 1/3 of an inning, but why does DK have ground ball and fly ball? Anyway, performance.
Yeah, for sure. And Margevicius is likely Margevicius, however we're saying it, likely to turn in a similar kind of a performance. We thought it was going to be Kikuchi going into the spot last night, and he's the best out of these 3 guys, and we didn't like the spot for him. This team just doesn't strike out that much, and they've got a ton of power, and they've got a ton of quality. And they got Yordan Alvarez back in the middle of this lineup,
who is great
on the show last night.
Yeah, lefty, great,
excellent. Yeah. And just an excellent power hitter, a kid who's going to be a superstar in this league for years to come. So, adding him back in the middle of this lineup, I just saw it looks like they put Brantley on the DL now, but that's a good swap. I'm happy to make that swap for this team. He hit a home run yesterday, and I like his chances today. He is the second highest projected Astro in my home run model behind George Springer to hit a home run in the spot.
Well, so, I will take him as my home run call.
Ooh. I like
because I know who you're going to take, and I'm assuming
Juan Soto.
Going to our next game, you're going to talk about that. So that's our transition over there. See what I did there? Nice. Get us to that 7:35 start. We've got the Nationals. We've got Baltimore. We have, I almost said Adrian. Asher Wojciechowski is taking the bump here. He has gone 65, 67, and 92 pitches. One of his games was against the Nationals. Hey, it was the last one. He got 4 strikeouts, 3 fly balls, 5 ground balls for barely 4, just shy of 4 innings. No home runs, no earned runs, but he is a scary proposition anytime you roster him. So I am not a fan of his tonight. Again, I'm going to have a bunch of 10%ers tonight because I don't like any of these guys. But I'm going to have the Coors Field guys at 10%, just to let you know that to get my 220% or 240% of pitching, so my crunches are going to run here, which I probably should start doing, we're going to need to take a bunch of these other guys because I want bats tonight. There's a lot of bats, and DK with their variable pricing did a good job. Like I want the A's. They're mostly expensive, except for, as we mentioned, Piscotty and Grossman, but their guys are pricey, so it's going to come at the expense of pitching tonight. And my pitching luck is run out. I used it all last night. Nailed it. Just nailed the pitching, and got rained out. So there we go. There we go. Pat Corbin. Pat Corbin, 87, 102, and 75 pitches. Take it away.
Yeah, love Corbin. He's a guy I'll roster in any spot. Every time he's going, I hear Chris Tucker from The Fifth Element just saying Corbin in my ear. It's Ruby Rod. So this is a guy I love to roster. He's an ace. He's 30% strikeout, 28% strikeout the last 2 years. Just sits guys down, no problem. He throws 40% slider with a 51.6% whiff rate on 107 of them. It's a killer pitch. Can strike anybody out on either side of the plate with it. His league average hard hit, which is fine for a guy like him. He allows some hard contact, but he also throws pretty hard and throws a ton of strikes. So he's going to allow the occasional home run. But guy I just absolutely love to roster. Against this team, I think it's a killer spot. There's nobody we worry about on this team against Pat Corbin. You get to like a guy like Renato Nunez, I guess, he strikes out 25% of the time. He's got a 203 ISO projection on the year. So like if you're looking for a bat to worry about, maybe that's your guy, but it's just not a team we're going to sweat with Corbin. He's going to put up a big start here. I've got him near a 40-point FanDuel projection, which is killer. It's 10-6. We're paying up, but I like the spot. 14% ownership. I think that's reasonable. I don't mind getting over the field and, if I double the field on Pat Corbin, if I was running 150 lineups tonight, I wouldn't be too concerned about it, running 30% of him out there if he's going to be half that. I think that's a great spot.
All right. Wojciechowski, crazy.
And those Nats bats that we want to target against Woj. I mean, everybody's going to be on them, but that's a killer spot, right?
Well, the weather, and I'm seeing it in chat, and they're saying, there's tons of rain on the radar. Yes, but so there is.
Is it on the ballpark?
Yeah, there is risk. It's the Nationals are not in National Stadium. Can you believe that this game got rained? The end of the other game got rained out because they didn't have their tarp ready to go. So they had to start early last night, which screwed up lock time, I think, on FanDuel or something.
Yeah.
And then their second game was delayed by rain yesterday. And I was up in my office, so I don't get the TV up here. And my wife was watching something, so I wondered, hey, turn on the game. Tell me is it really delayed? Because you can't tell on ESPN or any of these other sites anymore because they've got all these postponed games and their schedules are all screwed up. They're still showing series that aren't going to happen for weeks.
Yeah.
Because it's just
I don't know if anybody who makes schedules out there in the world is watching us right now, but please don't put the postponed and canceled games on the schedule.
It looks like my entire season long team. Yeah, my entire season long team looks like it's having a doubleheader for the next week. It's like no, they're not. They're not even playing any of these games. Just,
they're all
anyway.
Fun year.
That was I needed to get that out. That was the rain delay pain that came out from Minnesota. It just so happened to come out during the Nationals. So
event before lock with EMac.
Yes, there we go. All right,
so hit those Nats bats. You're going to be riding some chalk, but it's good chalk here. And I talked about him in the column last night. You mentioned my home run pick. It's Juan Soto. I love him here. Woj yields a 203 home run per 9 for his career to lefty bats, 185 for his career to everybody. 5.22 xFIP for his career in his 174 and 2/3 innings. Not a guy I worry about. 22.5% strikeout. Decent strikeout rate. People like to talk about, hey, we can roll the dice with him. Not a spot I want to do it. If you want to get cute, there's cheaper pitchers that I like better, or guys in that salary range that I like better than this spot. So I don't think you need to get cute with Woj. I think you can attack some of those bats and try and work in some of the lower owned guys. Victor Robles down bottom makes a great wraparound, ton of speed, good quality. 15-20 5 type guy. So you can get to some interesting constructions with these guys still. A Carter Kaboom at shortstop. You can work him in. Third base eligibility on DK for cheap. So work some with the bottom of this lineup. Yan Gomes is interesting down there. And I think you can still, despite the chalkiness, make something happen with that Nat stack.
All right. We'll continue along here. 3 to go. We're in Texas, or we're in Colorado, where there was a complete game last night. Lance Lynn, 3-2. How did that happen? I don't know. But Kyle Gibson, decent pitcher. The Rockies, however, are carrying a 6.6 implied run total. It is 90 degrees at first pitch. Very warm. Still thin air there in Denver. That hasn't changed. Herman Marquez on the other side. I'm playing him at 10 to 15%, and I'm just rolling the dice. I will set Gibby at probably 5 to 10%, but it's not going to be zeroing him out. And these, I could see him going 10 and the other guy 15, just depending on where the rest of my pitching's going to make my crunches work. Their price is right. We saw, we've seen decent outings. A pitcher just has to survive. Just has to survive because we're seeing bullpens get destroyed. So you could still have a good night, and I haven't really run across anybody I want to roster yet at pitching besides Pat Corbin. Rain! Remember, if there's a delay, he may only go 3 or 4 innings, and if there's a random delay and he cools down, then they're not going to put him back in. So, yeah, there's no great pitching tonight.
Yeah, I think I think it makes a lot of sense. Like you're saying, there's just not a lot of great spots. I like Paxton as well. I think he's a guy you can work with. But yeah, I think it makes sense, especially on the Herman Marquez side. I think that's a guy that we can get to here. I mentioned it yesterday. Today. I actually wrote up the Rangers bats just because of the potential ownership play. Earlier, they were trending a little under what they should have been owned on FanDuel and on DraftKings. So I wrote them up. But I like the Herman Marquez side of this. In his career at home, I lost my place here. Excuse me. He's a 3.32 xFIP in his career at home, despite the 4.94 ERA. So I mean, he's shown us a lot of quality there. We know that he knows how to pitch here. He's got a great fastball. He's 40% fastball, 10% sinker. So they combine that. It combines to like a 50% fastball utilization. It's a 96 mile an hour plus fastball, 22% slider usage. Works in some curve. The curve is not a great pitch to throw at Coors, but he throws a very heavy spin curve, which helps him keep it down in the zone, which is what you want to see for guys who do use the curve. We talked about that a little bit with Lance Lynn yesterday. Lynn was a guy I mentioned that I would have liked, and I was kind of annoyed that I didn't play 150 lineups last night because I would have had a nice chunk of them. I like his repertoire at Coors because of the way it works. I'm a little bit more concerned about Gibson's repertoire at Coors because he relies on a sinker. He's about a 35% sinker utilization, and that sinker can hang a little bit at Coors. He also uses his curveball a little bit. It's his put-away pitch. He uses it 50% of the time as his put-away pitch. 14% whiff rate on it so far this year, so it's weird that it's his put-away pitch this year. But we don't want to see a guy who relies on a sinker curve to get out of situations necessarily take on a team in Coors here. So I'm a little concerned that they can get to him. I'm a little concerned about some of those hanging pitches. Only strikes out like 18% of batters for his career. So, yeah, I get the 5-10% play for sure on DraftKings. Makes sense. Let's go with it. I don't love him at only 6,800 on FanDuel. Not getting a good projection. Don't think it's a great spot for him. So I like the Marquis side a lot better. I would attack both these pitchers with some bats, though. The Rockies are going to be pretty appropriately owned. We know and love most of the guys there. No real surprises, I don't think, in the lineup. I would work in some Raimel Tapia, some Ryan McMahon from the back end of this lineup to differentiate. A couple good lefties there. I think they could get to them. On the FanDuel side, I still like Texas a lot. I think we can get to some really low-owned quality in this lineup. So I mentioned Elvis Andrus last night. He's trending under 1% ownership. Love that as a wraparound play up to the top as a low-owned shortstop option. So I think we can do some cool things with the Rangers lineup here that are going to be lower owned than you'd expect, of course.
Yeah, and that's a great call out there. I do like the wraparound stacks just for some differentiation because remember, there's no pitchers anymore. A lot of people are still forgetting that. It's all DHs, so there's not that kind of pseudo-automatic out that could mess it up just a little bit.
Right, and in Coors, I mean, that's a bump, right? That was normally a spot where, hey, all right, the pitcher's suffering from the Coors Field effect a little bit here. Bunch of guys on base, but hey, he gets that free pass at the bottom of the lineup. We don't have that anymore, so that could work really well here. And just want to call it out. I'm just saying I'm surprised by the ownership on Willie Calhoun. Under 10% on FanDuel right now, or at least as of my last update. So that's killer. I wrote him into the part of the stack, and if he's that low, I'll get more of him. I like that a lot.
Yeah, he's, I believe, if I remember correctly, one of the guys that's really cheap on DraftKings as well.
Yeah, I've got him 3,800 on DK, which is a great price for a kid of his quality.
All right.
He came up and was hitting immediately from last year and has not slowed down. So that's a kid I love.
Yeah. 2 more to go here. We're going to talk about batters again. San Diego Padres at Alex Young. I know you wrote these guys up too, but here we go. In 272 lefty-righty matchups, that's only 272. Alex Young has already allowed 13 home runs. That comes off a 1.83 home run per 9, 43% hard hit rate. He allows a 216 ISO. He's allowing hitters to be elite against him, righties anyway. So Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado and Will Myers. Love it, love it, love it. And they
Absolutely
are not quite adjacent in the lineup. Eric Hosmer's in between them, but go ahead and roll those guys out there. I'm going to have a ton of them tonight. A little excited that the roof is going to be opened after the 3rd inning.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, it's we saw it screw up McCullers, so who knows what it's going to do. Alex Young is the home pitcher, so hopefully they wouldn't do it to their own pitcher. Like, you know, maybe they'll do it after he comes out.
Is he going to make it 3? I'm going to set it 3 1/3 is the over-under. Are you going over or under?
Oh, geez. I would have to click over to my other tab, and I'm not sure what that's going to do to the stream here, so I'll pass on that. But I'll take the under just off the top of the head. I think he's going to get lit here. I love the Padres bats here. Like I said, I wrote them up last night. They're a great value play. Their salaries are very low. You can get to a lot of really good quality in this lineup. You mentioned 3 guys that I absolutely love in this lineup. I love Tommy Pham also leading off here today. So they've got Tatis hitting 3rd, Machado hitting 2nd with Pham up top, which is a great little construction. Really like that with Will Myers 5th. Hosmer in the middle there. He doesn't hit lefties as well as he hits righties. He's not a guy anybody likes just because everybody expected the world from him, and then he never really totally delivered. But I mentioned it in the column last night. He's got, I think it was 7 years where he's hit more than 17 home runs. So, like, he shows some quality here and there, and he can get to a lefty of this level. Like, he's not just completely inept against lefties where he's just up there swinging and missing like a guy hitting against Bugs Bunny. So I think we can include him, and he's only 1.4% owned on FanDuel, cleaning up for this team. So, like, I don't care about his lefty-lefty splits at $3,000 and 1.4% ownership. I can make that work in stacks here. Jurickson Profar, guy with a good amount of power and a lot of speed. Gap power, not a guy who's going to hit you a ton of home runs, but he can drive the ball. Second base and outfield eligibility on DK for 3,800, only 7.1% owned. Love that, hitting 6th here. Back end of the lineup falls off a little bit with Cronenworth and Trent Grisham. Trent Grisham in a lefty-lefty, I should say. But I do like Francisco Mejia. I think he's a sneaky enough catcher play. He's around 10% owned on DraftKings. You don't need him on FanDuel, but I think you can sneak him in there every now and again if you do like him. Another righty bat, got a lot of power, 192 projected ISO for the season. So I think he's in a great spot and not a catcher a ton of people pay attention to on DraftKings. Only 3,400 over there. So I'm going to roll out these Padres early and often.
All right, let's hit our last game of the night. We are still waiting for that Angels lineup. Nobody's showing as day-to-day or general soreness or anything like that, so we're trying to guess at who could be the issue that's giving us a slow lineup. We don't know yet, and we're kind of getting close here. We're inside of the 3-hour sort of gentleman's agreement that the teams operate under of releasing their starting lineup. So we'll want to keep our eyes out on that. Just seeing here, we don't have any giveaways today. Well, that's sad. I'm sad now. But everybody should join the Awesemo Fred Van Elite Fan Club contest. Anytime Toronto plays now through the end of the playoffs, or if they get eliminated, they are the reigning champions, I will be playing Fred Van Vliet or his direct backup in the event he is hurt or ruled out pregame. And you guys don't have to. But if you win those contests with the Awesemo logo, you get 30 free days of full access premium. You can get the link on my pinned tweet now. That gets you into the league. We run these on DK. It's just $1. I'd like to fill them up to 100, pay out the top 20. You guys have been a little slow on the jump. If I put it out to 50, it fills in 2 hours. If I put it out as 100, I got to chase everybody down to try to fill it. I'm not going to be chasing people down. So get in that club so you get the little notification when I post them. But definitely check that out. All right. I tried to give the Angels a chance. They didn't release the lineup. Let's talk Dodgers first, going against Andrew Heaney, who gets the quick hook. He's got the Joe Madden quick hook.
Yeah, which is a concern, right, if we're rostering Heaney. He's a pitcher I like in general. I don't like this spot for him at all, though. Taking on the Dodgers here, it's a tricky spot. He struggles. He struggles a little bit with righty contact for his career. 181 home run per nine for his career to right-handed hitting. 152 overall, so he does give up the home run ball to both sides of the plate, but particularly to righties. So I think we can ride some of those sneaky righties in here. You might get one of those weird Enrique Hernandez games in the back end of this lineup as a righty. We've got Chris Taylor in there. We've got Justin Turner, who we know. So AJ Pollock also hitting cleanup in this lineup today. So I think there's some good quality there. I think there's some bats that we can get to. And I'm not really worried about the lefties in this lineup either against him. I think Corey Seager plays well here. I think Cody Bellinger plays well against anybody in the league. I don't care which arm they throw with. He's a star. He's an MVP. So I think we can roster a lot of Dodgers here. They're going to be popular, but they're not going to be crazy popular. And if you work in some of the lefties, it helps differentiate. Like Cody Bellinger at 6% ownership. Corey Seager at 0.4% on the FanDuel, which is insane, hitting second. You work those guys into your stack, and you're already differentiating things with very quality bats. I don't really sweat the lefty here. He needs a good lefty. He generates a lot of swing and miss, almost 30% on three different pitches. It's 29.6 on both of his sinker and his fastball. So, or a sinker fastball and his curveball. The sinker fastball is classified differently on different sites, so it's a tricky one to talk about. But ultimately, he's thrown 166 of them, nearly 30% strikeout. Same thing on his curveball. He works at 91, 92 on the fastball, and then he brings the curve all the way down to 78 miles an hour. So it's a nice change of speed there as well. And then he's got a changeup that he strikes out, that he generates 27% whiff on. So he is capable of getting the strikeouts, but the Dodgers limit the strikeout enough here that I don't think he gets there for us. And I think we do see that quick hook. I think we see him hang a few runs on him. I like the power projections. I'm getting 1, 2, 3. I'm getting 5 guys over 10 in my model here for home runs. So I do like the spot for the Dodgers more than I like the spot for Haney.
All right, if we were guessing on an Angel to sit out, I don't even have a guess.
Yeah, I don't really. I think it might just be being Madden and playing games just because he can. Thinks he, is being cute by not releasing the lineup, letting the other team sweat and try and figure things out. But
I'm going to give him a hint. The other team doesn't care. Yeah, the other team doesn't care. They really don't. What?
Especially with Walker Buehler on the hill.
Yeah,
he's going to smoke everybody anyway.
Maybe Tommy Listello's out. Ooh, that's good. Maybe it's Regnifo. Ooh, yeah. Maybe they move Brian Goodwin up in the order because he's a lefty. Ooh, none of these things are scary. Okay, none.
There's 3 hitters we care about.
Trout and Ohtani should be in the lineup. Now, I could maybe see Ohtani sitting, but why? He's DHing for the most part now. We're focusing on hitting, shall we say, not pitching for the rest of the season. So we know he's, that was a cautionary tale before when he was pitching. Just keep hitting. He steals bases too. This guy can do everything. But they were resting him on Saturday because he was going and pitching on Sundays. That was going to be his designated pitch day. But that is no more. So I literally have no idea. So
yeah, and honestly, at least from where I'm sitting, since we got him in, I don't think they should ever let him pitch again. Let the kid be a hitter. It's not worth it. He hurts himself every time he tries to pitch. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, and then you're going to start trying harder and all of that. I mean, he was good. He's a good pitcher, but
no doubt
he's so good as a hitter. And again, he steals bases, which I just use that as a point of he's an all-around player. It's not like he's just some lumbering DH. For the love of God, he was major league pitcher and he steals bases.
Yeah. The kid's an excellent athlete. Nobody's taking that away from him at all. I mean, let him focus on those things we know he does well. By the way, I didn't realize he has first base eligibility on DK.
Yeah, that was
that's killer.
I didn't actually. Well, we have a moment. Let's go.
Yeah, I didn't even know he had appeared at the position. I mean, maybe they snuck him in there, but I didn't realize that he had made appearances there. And I love that as a first baseman. You can do some weird things with that lineup there and not take up an outfield spot. I like that. Only 4,700 too. It's a reasonable price for him. Low ownership. It's against Walker Buehler, which is why those things are true. But I love the spot for Buehler. But that could be sneaky, especially on other slates, as we go forward with it. Keep an eye on him there.
Why is this?
While you're looking for that, I mentioned I love Buehler. He's an ace, right? We've seen the kid already, total quality since he's come up. 343 innings in the majors. It's 23-9 record with a 3.42 xFIP, 390 strikeouts in that time, 28.3% strikeout, only 6.5% walk, allowing just 1 home run per 9. So killer kid. 42% whiff rate so far on 36 curveballs this year. 38.9% on 31 cutters. 31.7 on his 98 mile an hour four seamer. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's his use rate. He uses his 98 mile an hour four seamer 31% of the time. So he's in 2019, he was 87th percentile fastball velo, 92nd percentile in fastball spin, which generates a rising effect for the fastball, which makes it really hard, explains the whiff rate. 95th percentile curveball spin. Really, really just killer stuff. 81st percentile in barrels allowed, 60th in whiff rate, just 51st in hard hit rate, so around league average in hard hit rate, but just the kid's dynamite. I love him to put up a good start here. Like we said, there's not too many bats in this lineup we worry about. If you're building that stack, maybe get sneaky with like a Joe Adell late, the superstar to be rookie that they called up. He's very cheap and totally untouched late in this lineup. Find anything on Ohtani?
So he's only played DH the last 2 years. So I wonder if
he's been nice.
Well, no, he should be first base only.
Yeah,
in my opinion, but I think they're maybe being nice because then there's Pujols, and then it'd just be impossible to ever get an Angel stack. He probably played outfield in Japan, and somehow that's carrying over, maybe. But DK used to have a rule, and it's buried somewhere in their site. But they used to NBA is a different thing, but baseball used to be 15% of your games needed to be played at another position for you to qualify for multi-position eligibility. I don't know if that's waived because of DHs. Right, so, and he breaks everybody's system anyway. So
I guess it must be.
But that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right. We don't even have 100 likes yet. Come on, hit that like button.
Yeah, get on that thumbs up, guys. We need somebody in there like barking. We need a whip. We need a whip in the chat. Somebody get these guys into shape, like in Congress.
All right, we have the Angels lineup.
Nice. Anybody weird missing?
Pujols.
So
Fletcher, La Stella, Trout, Rendon, Ohtani, Taylor Ward, Brian Goodwin, Max Stassi, and Luis Rengifo.
I'm gonna not exactly
that
world beaters.
No.
Not Murderzo, not the 27 Yankees out there.
So there we are. All right. Well, hey, we've got all sorts of time here.
Yeah. You know who we skipped over is Cal Quantrill. He's a guy I feel like people might go to a little bit.
Yes.
Just because he's a name that people have kind of been waiting on.
Well, because
what do you think of him? Is he in your plans on DK at all?
His uncle was on my fantasy teams once upon a time. That'd be Paul Quantrill?
Paul Quantrill, right?
No, because I don't... Did they say they were going to take the training wheels off for him? How many pitches is he?
Not that I've seen, which was one of my notes. He's only thrown 8 2/3 out of the bullpen so far. So first start of the year, I have no idea what the leash looks like, which would have been my major concern with him. I get a decent projection for him, and it's a limited innings, so it would go up if I gave him more. So I like the kid, but I don't trust the leash. I think it could be a good spot for him if we knew he was going to get 5 innings, 80, 90 pitches. But
I'll take 3 innings with the roof closed for 100, Alex. He's 59, or pardon me, for 5,900, Alex. What is DK Pitchers SP2?
And that actually might be a great call. That might be a point where they're just like, all right, yank him now. They open the roof, let's get him out. That's a natural point where they would take him out. That makes a lot of sense. So good to keep an eye on in the future, though. I mean, killer stuff. 94 mile an hour sinker fastball that uses 50% of the time, generates a 30% whiff on. 85 mile an hour change, and he generates 50% whiff on. So very, very good stuff. I like the kid. 86 mile an hour slider, which isn't really a strikeout pitch for him yet, but that's a heavy, hard slider. So I like him. I like the upside going forward.
All right, we just got our projections updated, so I'm going to put these into the Fantasy Cruncher and upload that. We'll have a little bit of time. We can take some questions. We can talk about some different stuff. Hey, let's sell something. Let's sell something, but let's sell something that's free. Let's let everybody know 2 things. We have the live blog in front of the paywall. I believe that's in front of the paywall. That El Negro Loco, the news god, as he is more formally known, and we are his subjects, loyal subjects, but he is the god. He's got that, and he's running down all the news, answering questions. By the way, it's a live. There's a chat feature in there as well. I think you have to be signed up to chat, but you don't have to have a subscription. I think is how it works on that.
Yeah, I think you have to have a membership at the site, but it doesn't have to be a paid like behind the wall or whatever.
Correct. Because I was trying to log in there, and I was like, wait a second, it wants me to sign in with. I'm like, what? I'm like, what is going on here? Me and technology
backed off.
Yeah, once again, me and technology. But check that out. And then we get 3 hitting articles and 1 pitching article in front of the paywall. Spotlight pitchers. Austin Varney's writing most of those this season. He usually highlights a couple pitchers. I do a stacks column where I do a stack for each of the slates. Terry does 2 different stack columns, which, wait for it, the way these are designed, we'll have a little overlap from time to time, but we're generally going to write different things. So tell them about your 2 different versions of your article, because they're both worth reading, even as we get up to lock, because wait for it, the analysis you do the night before in baseball, still almost very, very, very just as good as it was then. And people lose it, and groupthink takes over, and the DFS echo chamber and all of that. So keep that.
Yeah, I've started actually going back and reading my opinions from the night before lock, because there have been a few times on these slates where I've written something and then gone away from it during the day, and then it came to pass, and I was like, how did I not have that?
Right.
So guys, overnight I do the home runs that you've hopefully seen. I get in there, I give a home run pick for my model for each team that's going to be going on, usually on multiple slates. If there's a split slate like there was today, I give both slates. And then I focus in on the main slate. For overnight, I do chalkier picks because I'm working from my projections from my model. So I like to stay safe with it. I don't like to get too far afield. I'll do that a little bit more during the day when I'm working from Alex's top stacks tool. I go through that and I look for 2 kind of more offbeat plays, 2 stacks that are well projected, decent chance of being the highest probability of success, but not necessarily getting a lot of public attention. And I try and give some strange angles into those, give a little build with maybe a wraparound stack, something a little bit offbeat, a little bit different. So yeah, trying to hit the home runs and get some good stack picks, and go through both of those every night. And usually I try and read EMac's spotlight hitters when it comes out, because first off, it's great content. Love what I get in there just from different perspective from him and how he's seeing the slate. And then I also try and get a little different with my column overnight, make sure we're not overlapping. If I do see that we hit the same team, I stay up all night anyway, so I go in and write a little bit more, add something to it. So we try and give you fresh content across the board all the time.
All right, so let's see. I've got 40% Corbin, Paxton, Javier. Ooh, I can't have Herman Marquez at 40. Let's put him at 20. Walker Buehler is at 20. That feels like I probably should go a little higher. Let's go 25. Fields 10. This is an old up. We may have updated it since I last pulled it, but it's not gonna directionally. It's directionally correct for what I'm doing. So
yeah,
I'm not as worried about that. Manai, I'm going 10. Haney, I'm going 10. Eovaldi, I'm going to go 20. It's okay. Price, and I'm going Asher Wojciechowski 10. Again, maybe he makes it 3 innings or so unscathed. I'd be fine with that. Kyle Gibson, I'm going 10. Now I need numbers. Cal Quantrill, I'm going 10. I feel like that can be 15. And
interesting.
Mark
what was Quantrill's price on DK?
He is 59.
Yeah.
I need
so
it.
like we've talked about a lot, right? We're just looking for some kind of a point total at that price. Something that works on DK and SP2. Hopefully you're buying some pitches. So we talked about that's going to be a tricky pitch count spot. So hopefully we get the upside on the pitch count there. But yeah, we're trying to buy just a guy that we think is going to throw some strikes, rack up a few points, and not get blown up for us in that SP2 spot. And then on a slate like this, you can spend a lot of additional money on bats. What are you getting stacks-wise? What are your...
I'm going to set that in now because I really need to start running them, because I hope we lock at 707, or is it 705?
707 on FanDuel. 707 on FanDuel. I mean, I don't know what the hell. It's between the sites.
Yeah.
Probably 6:30 on DK.
Thank you, sites. Good God. Like I would have never known on FanDuel if I was playing there last night. I wouldn't have known because I'm not checking their Twitter to see if they've screwed up their slate.
That would have burned me if I wasn't in just our Slack chat all day. I saw that update come through, and once again, we mentioned it already. News God saved me.
Yeah,
he does it quite frequently because those are easy things to miss if you're not following every little thing on Twitter and you're not signed into the app through the day. And I do most of my stuff. I download them the night before or in the morning, and then I don't go back to FanDuel's site until 2 minutes before lock most days. Like, there's just no reason for me to go to it, so I miss a lot of that stuff.
All right, so let's see. These are just my baseline, so I'll see where it comes out. So I'm going Boston 10, New York 15, Oakland, San Francisco, Seattle 10, Houston 15, Washington 15, Baltimore 10, Coors Field 10 on each side, San Diego 15, Arizona 10, LA 15. See, that's going to be too high, so I'm going to bump some of these down. LA is going to, I'm going to go 5 with 15 with the Dodgers. I like their spot. Baltimore against Corbin, I'm going to drop that down to 5. Seattle against Javier, I want the leverage. I like all these other ones. See, the problem is I've set it kind of high, so we'll go Boston down to 5. If you don't do this, you end up getting none of these lower owned stacks if you set it too high. So this is where I've been explaining to people kind of where I'm setting my stuff so we can see what comes out. So I'm gonna do a risky 4 stacks.
4 fours.
We're gonna run. Oh, it's gonna chug for a while. We're gonna go 35 of those. In the meantime, I'm gonna come over here and look at our stacks tool. Of course, Colorado has a 15% chance of being the top stack. Houston has a 10%. San Diego has 10. And San Diego is actually going to be very popular tonight on DK. They're 14%. So they're a little above where they would normally be. What is going on?
Yeah, I'm clicking into the top stacks here as well. When you're building those stacks in FC, what are you doing with the gaps tool? Are you using that at all? Are you leaving?
I have set it at 2, and I'm a little nervous about that because it runs real slow.
Yeah, definitely. So, that's something that we see a lot of people asking. Why is FC running so slowly? And it's gonna run slower the more we give it to think about, guys. It's a tool. FC doesn't just know everything. We're giving it very specific parameters to work with. So if you run into those things where it's going super slow or you're not getting enough lineups and you get those error messages, start stripping some of those restrictions off. Work with your percentages, give it some more breathing room on some of your pitchers, give it more breathing room on some of the stacks. Restrict those gaps, give it more gaps to work with, and it'll create lineups faster. I've also found, hey, do you use it in incognito mode on Chrome at all? I've heard that works faster, but it screws me up on logging in and logging out, so I haven't done it too much. I kind of like looking at the stacks tool. What are you getting for Houston?
I'm gonna be in trouble because I've only got 15 stacks from so far.
Houston on DK is coming up second in the stacks tool, trending under owned. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's the value column. I had the video window in front of it. They're trending around what they should be owned. I need to correct that. Sorry, guys.
All right.
The value column by mistake.
So now I'm running these with any to see if they can get this going a little bit faster.
Yeah. Overall, that's something I really want to get in there and get into Rewind and play with a little bit. Just see what kind of differentials it's creating in my stacks. Because I like the idea of creating more tightly correlated lineups, but I don't know what I'm missing out on. And I feel like it's a tool that's powerful, but it might be too powerful for what I'm doing with it right now. So I want to learn it a little bit better.
All right. So now I'm preparing my upload file at the same time as I'm doing this because I'm trying to dovetail here. So let's go to advanced options. I am going to run some 4-0 stacks now.
Those should crank up.
Now, what I'm not going to end up getting is the mix of stacks that I really want to force in. And unfortunately, most of these games are starting relatively early, and I want pieces of them. And we're down to 3 minutes, so usually what I will do at this point is then say, okay, now run 10 of this team, now run a 10 of this team, now run 10 of this team. I'm gonna get way more James Paxton than I really want. I'm gonna end up running 40% of him tonight. I'm okay with that. I'm getting well overloaded on Houston. I think I set them too high. We didn't really call out Maldonado, but he's a nice cheap pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a ton of Manny Machado, Tommy Pham, and Fernando Tatis. I like all of those guys. So I'm good with that. I'm only getting 33% Corbin. I wish I had more Corbin and less James Paxton, but too late to go back and set that because I really want to get my lineups in.
I don't have their ownership in front of me, but I imagine that might get you a little bit different from the field. I would think that most people are leaning into the Corbin side of that. So Paxton, like we talked about, Paxton's a pitcher I like. I think he's basically corrected it. So I kind of like that. I think you're going to be okay there. And look, the two stacks that we mentioned, they're going to be owned, but it's not tragic. Houston's at 10 and 12, and San Diego's at 10 and 14. So not tragic.
Okay, so lineups are in. So now I'll talk about it a little bit. So I got no Gibson. Oh, I didn't get any Quantrill. So now I'm going to run some lineups with Quantrill. Just because, and I'm going to go back into my file.
Got a little over a minute by my clock.
Now, fortunately, I have my stuff.
Can you get it?
That's okay.
Look at the effort. The heart's racing. All for Cal Quantrill.
And yes, I can swap to him later, but I'd rather have some of this with the stacks from the earlier games. So,
and you wanted to use him in that salary savings to actually build with, instead of just cramming him in and not actually taking advantage of that. So yeah, that makes total sense. I wish you had 2 more minutes to get done.
Let's see. I'm down to seconds.
I just have 3 lineups in, and one of them I built for the beginning of the slate, and then the other 2 I'm going to just build out with later games because I like a lot of stuff from later games.
All right.
I'll just play one of the bigger ticket ones.
Yep. So I got my 10% of Quantrill, but because I'm running these in multiple tournaments, it's probably going to work out to about 6%, but that was better than 0. So I'll end up with 31% Corbin, 40% Paxton, 38% Christian Javier. It's a price savings thing. I hope he can stick around long enough to qualify for the win. The wind. There's that D I was looking for earlier when I joked with Adam. For the win on that one, I had a great joke.
What was it? I missed it.
It was phenomenal, and now I can't. Oh, there was some basketball player's name started. It finished with Portland. I said it's Portland. There's no D in Portland. I even got the nod from Adam. He hasn't overdosed on doing shows with me after that nice long layoff. So even he thought, he's like, yeah, okay, all right.
He's got a little room for the cheese.
Normally he just glares. Is he hungover or did he not like the joke?
Get his screen freeze.
But so Javier 40, that's high. Herman Marquez 17, Walker Buehler only 1.
Ooh,
that hurts. That hurts a little bit.
Pricey though. I mean, it's
spendy, and I wanted bats tonight, so I'm okay with that. And I'll play the late slate, so I'll have him in some lineups, and maybe I'll go a little heavier, tweak around that for they're not on the late slate actually, so maybe I'll go maneuver some of my lineups. They're DK on DK. They're doing a 2-game late slate, and they're skipping that Angels game. I don't know.
That's odd.
It's very odd.
In the normal format, or is it that showdown?
No, it's that stupid showdown one. So I don't like to play that one.
Right.
Or not stupid. It's not showdown. It's pitcher. That would be a good one for playoff baseball. Pitcher, 2 infielders, 2 outfielders, 2 utilities. So
it'd be interesting.
It's
like we talked about. It was what FanDuel was doing for KBO on
when
they were running that, which was weird that the 2 sites switched and FanDuel was doing it over there.
Yeah.
What the hell? But it's an interesting format.
17% Eovaldi.
Oof.
9%.
I mean, I can't say I hope it works out for you, even because he's pitching against my Yankees. I hope he has a solid 5 innings and then the Yankees blow up the bullpen. I'll give you that.
Oh! Somebody mentioned Sean V. I almost wore the Sean V t-shirt tonight. Thomas Tyner says, one day YouTube switched to a different pod after Live Before Lock. Watched for a few seconds and saw Sean B in chat. I wondered what happened to him. I wanted to wear tomorrow I may have to wear my What Would Sean V Do t-shirt. But instead I'm wearing tonight, it'll look backwards because I haven't reversed my screen, but EMac.
Nice.
My wife made it for me. A little baseball seams.
Oh, it's really cool.
Purple for the Huskies.
Love it.
There you go.
Very, very cool. I like that. I haven't seen that one before.
Yeah. So I wore that one tonight. She got a good chuckle out of it. So she has one of those things called a Cricut printer. So basically, she does decals that she makes pillows and T-shirts and pretty much anything. Nice. Stockings, towel, like kitchen towels, like you put some funny saying on it, and then people hang it on their oven or whatever, stuff like that. Yeah. So, and then we have a heat press from China.
Oh, cool. Is that something she does for like business, like Etsy or something like that, or is that just a hobby you doing?
Well, one, she's incredibly crafty and she likes to do things like that. Yeah. And two, she does it for friends, and it's kind of on request. So they'll usually say, like, she and her friends do half marathons, and a lot of times they'll do theme kind of T-shirts where they'll all wear the same T-shirt. So they all go and buy T-shirts or tank top singlets or whatever that they run in, and then they'll get like the $10 ones, and then she'll do themed things. Yeah, so if it's somebody's birthday, like they did one race up in Maine by some seaport or something, or maybe it was Martha's Vineyard, and they all wore little sailors hats, and then they had sayings on their shirt, and she made some design, and so she was the something captain, somebody was the first mate in charge of wine, somebody was the second mate in charge of coffee or chocolate. just nice. Goofy little things like that.
Yeah, that's fun
that they do. Yeah, so
very cool.
There we are. All right, let's look real quick here at ownership. I'm just curious because we got a lot of the games locking, and normally we don't do this on MLB, but as we have a moment.
Yeah, it's always interesting.
It's been a long day, so let's do that. So the $15 here on DraftKings, I will export. James Paxton is 28%. Kevin Gausman is 32%.
Okay.
Is San Francisco no longer an extreme pitcher's park? That's how I'm going to have to say it. I can't call it a hitter's park, but is it no longer an extreme pitcher's park?
I'm very curious to see how that holds up through the year with those changes that we were talking about, and like some of those weird little accoutrements that they added or took away. That's really interesting.
All right, so Christian Javier is 36. I have 38.
Okay.
So Kevin Gausman is 32. I have 19.
I'd rather be on your side of that than the Fields.
Agreed. James Paxton is 28. I have 40. Okay, I'm 12% above. I'm a third above the field. I'll survive. Yeah, he has strikeout upside, and he's 8,100. You can't complain about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a pitcher who should cost more. So I like it. I think you're getting upside there.
Nate Eovaldi is at 14. What did I say? It was 17. Oh,
I think so.
Yep, I'm at 17. So that's
with the field.
With the field.
Yeah.
Is that all we have thus far? Yep, that's all. Oh no, Sean Manaea is 5. I have 8. Again, that's negligible.
Yeah.
At that point, and then Mark Vicious, which I can't say his name correctly anymore, is 1%. I don't have any.
Yeah, I'd rather be at your 0 than any shares at all.
Chad Green is 0.02%.
Ah, interesting.
Brandon Belt's 0.02. I don't think he's playing.
Chris Davis, a shot on the long relief game for the Yanks. That's interesting.
Chris Davis 0.06.
What was Green's salary? Was he
Trevor Cahill is not unowned. Giancarlo Stanton is not unowned.
I hope those are placeholders.
There were some not good ones on. So we looked at, and then we'll wrap it out here. And this is why you guys should sign up when I post those Fred Van Elite fan club contests, because it never fails. At least 3 or 4 people forget to put in lineups, meaning they'll sign up with it when they get the push notification on their phone and reserve a spot, but then they never go back and put in a lineup. And then they build other lineups and forget they're in that one. So little nibble of rake there. You already know who I have to play. Little nibble of rake there. And it's only a 10% rake on that contest because it's user created. So check that one out. We looked at the $15 on DK today. There was 50 that did not submit a lineup in their giant $100,000 tournament. So that worked out to like 0.5%, or 0.3 or something like that. There was probably 5% that had players that weren't playing. Now, what you can't tell is were all those on the same lineup, right? Which would just kill one lineup instead of multiple. Right. But there was, Jaren Jackson Jr. And a few others were that literally are not playing, or injured, or out. Were on there. So just it's fun to look at that and just kind of see what's going on. And it's something that I didn't realize until recently. There's still let's go look at this one. So there were 55. Now this is out of 23,000, so not that many, but there were 55 lineups that they didn't enter a lineup at all.
So that's not completely inconsequential. I mean, it's dead action, right? Every spot in there counts for a little bit of the math, and every spot that we can have a dead spot, even one player dead in, is going to take that lineup out of contention for the win and make it very difficult for that lineup to even cash. So you love seeing that. Anytime you can get people, it's like having the sucker or the stupid guy at your poker table. Don't tell him what he's doing wrong. Just let him keep making the same mistake. And you want that guy at your table in your tournament every time.
Absolutely. All right. With that, we're now going to get on out of here because I just realized I forgot to set my alarm before the show. That I've got 7:30 hockey lineup, so I'm going to go enter those. But with that,
never stops for EMac.
Yeah, we're on tomorrow. I knew someone would make that joke about my T-shirt. Thank you. I should have reversed my film clip before then, but enjoy that. With that, noon tomorrow, we're going to have baseball. Good luck, game.